Welcome back. A team of United States officials headed by Assistant Trade Representative Brendan Lynch will come to New Delhi from March 25th to 29th for meetings with the Indian interlocutors as part of ongoing bilateral trade discussions and to finalize the shape of the proposed bilateral trade agreement. Both sides are aiming to finalize the first tranche of a mutually beneficial deal by the fall of 2025. The discussions are set to take place a week ahead of reciprocal tariffs imposed by the US becoming effective on the 2nd of April. India has shared a non-paper or a non-binding informal discussion paper with the US to convey New Delhi's point of view and proposals regarding the talks. Once the contours of the deal are decided, negotiations will be officially launched. Aditya, my colleague, is joining us to give us more details about this. Aditya, this is going to be a very important conversation, right? Because obviously, in the long run, it is not beneficial for India if the Americans also start to impose these reciprocal tariffs.
Well, absolutely, brother. Absolutely, Vineet. It is indeed a very important meet between the U.S. officials and the Indian officials. Today the statement from the U.S. Embassy in New Delhi has come that the U.S. Special Trade Representative for South Asia will be in with other U.S. officials will be in New Delhi from 25th March to 29th. And it is very significant that this meeting is just coming the days ahead of the warning that Donald Trump has said that he will impose reciprocal tariffs on India beginning April. If you see, there was some talks within the Commerce Ministry that regarding reducing the import duty on all the U.S. exports to India. So it is a very significant meeting that could take place between both the sides. India has already been reaching out to several other blocs like European Union to diversify their trade needs. But now, since the US officials will be in India, they will work out a probable trade strategy could be worked out between both the sides, so that the tariffs are not imposed on India. And, so India also would be required to reduce its tariffs on certain US goods that come into India. So it needs to be seen from here on how this entire situation progresses. It is very essential because at this juncture, Donald Trump has been very openly imposing tariffs on foreign countries. It has already imposed tariffs on countries like China, Canada, and Mexico. But so far, he has been saying that he will impose tariffs on India. But so far, he didn't impose any tariffs on India. But since he had said that he will impose reciprocal tariffs on India beginning from April 2nd, it is very essential that this meeting takes place, and it is very likely that a suitable win-win situation could evolve out of this meeting between both the officials from both the countries when this meeting takes place in New Delhi between March 25th and 29th. Yes, Vineet.
All right. Well, Dr. Sharad Kohli, senior economist, also with us on the broadcast. Dr. Kohli, how do you look at this difficult situation when it comes to reciprocal tariffs between the United States and India?
Well, good evening, Vineet, and good evening to the viewers of NewsX. I think I divide the world from an American perspective into three parts. There are countries who are not reacting to the reciprocal tariffs, which is going to come into effect on the 2nd of April. There is another category of countries which are sort of retaliating by imposing tariffs on the American goods. And there's a third category where India falls, which is trying to accommodate and trying to sort of adapt to the needs of the U.S., not just falling in the earlier two categories. I feel this visit of Brendan Lynch and, the ongoing negotiations of our Honorable Commerce Minister earlier during the month, I think India is trying its best to see that it should not bear the impact of reciprocal tariff policy which is coming into 2nd of April. Then I have a second viewpoint also. This is one viewpoint where India doesn't want to impact its own trade equations with the U.S. with that regard, because India has got a very positive trade surplus with America. We are exporting about 6 lakh crores. We import about 3 lakh crores, a little bit here and there, total of 9 lakh crores of bilateral trade. My second viewpoint, in America, this visit of Brendan Lynch is being used as an opportunity. And some of the, business associations and confederations in America have also urged President Trump that they should try and ask India to bring down the tariffs on pharmaceutical products and so and so. So my viewpoint is that, this is a last moment effort kind of to twist arms with India and to see that whatever best can be now be negotiated with India just before the reciprocal tariffs come. So it's like you're just flowing with the tide, and you're just trying to see whatever best you can bargain before this policy comes into effect. And I'm sure a lot of other countries also must have approached the US just before 2nd April to see that what best can be done out of this. And the US is also trying to make the best before the date, the big date as I call it, comes into effect. So I have this dual point of view, but I hope something positive comes out, because it is not in the interest. I'll make a very important statement here, Vinny. It is not in the interest of the US also to impose these tariffs, because the cost of manufacturing in the US, and US being very protective about its domestic industry, is fine. But the cost of manufacturing is very, very high. So even the US cannot afford to, keep importing things at high tariffs. So what will happen to the US people, US consumers who are getting so many things from India, these pharmaceuticals, these precious stones, jewelry? There are so many things which are being imported. So I feel it is in mutual interest, and I hope something comes out of Brendan Lynch's visit.
Dr. Kohli, do you think there is, a silver lining for India in these tariffs?
Well, obviously, as I said, India is exporting goods and services worth 600,000 crores, 6 lakh crores. There is definitely a silver lining, because some of the exports are going to be impacted, especially I'm referring to the merchandise. They are definitely going to be impacted once the reciprocal tariff comes into effect. Having said that, I would also like to mention that there is not a huge difference. If I leave out Harley Davidson, or if I leave out some of the more expensive, let's say, alcohols coming from the US, well, the difference is about 10%. The average tariff being levied by US is about 6 to 7%. The average tariff being levied by India on the American goods is about between 15 and 17%. So it's not like a massive difference if we leave out some of the projects, which is why I was a bit surprised when President Trump made the statement that India is a very high tariffing nation, which is not true, because those goods are very, very limited in number, and those are very selective goods, and they are not goods meant for common man. I feel the common man goods do not have significantly different tariffs, but still there's always a pressure from the UN side, to see that we should be on a level playing field. That's what President Trump's policy has been. Having said that, I would also say that this is going to probably boomerang on the American economy at some point of time after 2nd April. I'm really anticipating a little bit of chaotic situation in terms of the inflation, in terms of shortage of goods, in terms of so many other things as far as the US is concerned, which is why I hope that these negotiations from India's perspective, they turn out to be fruitful.
All right, Dr. Kohli, really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. Moving on, Rajya Sabha today began with